$5.5 billion. 17 games. The most expensive stadium ever constructed in human history hosts the Los Angeles Rams and the Los Angeles Chargers for a combined total of approximately 17 home games per regular NFL season. 17 dates. In a building that cost $5.5 billion to construct. $5.5 billion divided by 17 is $323 million per home game in fixed cost allocation, before a single ticket is sold, before a single hot dog is purchased, before a single naming rights dollar hits the balance sheet. The debt service on $5.5 billion at prevailing commercial real estate rates in 2023 was approximately $275 million per year in interest alone, before principal reduction, before operating costs, before a game is played. The risk-free rate on a United States Treasury bond in 2023 was approximately 5%. $5.5 billion at 5%, $275 million per year. The football revenue model, in isolation, cannot service that number. The math on a spreadsheet does not close. That is not the math that was built. Before the mechanisms, the structure of the thesis. When Stan Kroenke relocated the St. Louis Rams to Los Angeles in 2016, the public narrative was about football, market size, television revenue, the return of the NFL to the second largest metropolitan area in the United States after a 21-year absence. But Kroenke did not acquire the franchise to win Super Bowls. He acquired it to unlock 300 acres of land. In 2014, 2 years before the Rams announced their relocation, Kroenke purchased the former Hollywood Park racetrack site in Inglewood, California. 298 acres. The transaction was structured before the relocation was formally announced, before Inglewood had publicly negotiated the development terms that would govern what could be built there, and before the NFL had approved the move. The stadium was not the investment. The stadium was the instrument that made the investment viable. Mechanism 1. The anchor-tenant model. Every major commercial real estate development requires an anchor, a tenant or attraction that generates sufficient foot traffic and credibility to justify the surrounding investment. Shopping centers anchor around department stores. Urban mixed-use developments anchor around transit hubs or office towers. Hollywood Park anchors around a stadium that draws 70,000 people to a single location in Inglewood, California, 17 times per year. The stadium is not the product. The stadium is the infrastructure that makes the product possible. What surrounds it? Thousands of residential units under phased development, substantial retail and commercial office space, YouTube Theater, a 6,000-seat performance venue, adjacent to the Stadium Bowl, multiple hotel properties targeting premium event travelers, a public park and lake. Before the stadium was announced, Inglewood median home prices were among the lowest in Los Angeles County, a market where land scarcity is structural and proximity to premium infrastructure compounds in value over time. In the years following the groundbreaking, residential values in the surrounding corridors increased. The mechanism is well documented in urban economics. A large format anchor creates a credibility signal for surrounding investment that the anchor operator does not fully capture on its own income statement. The value created by $5.5 billion in stadium construction is not contained within the stadium's revenue model. It is distributed across 298 acres of surrounding land that Kroenke controls. Mechanism 2. The revenue architecture. Here is what 17 NFL games does not explain, and what actually services the debt. Naming rights. SoFi Technologies signed a 20-year agreement for $400 million in 2019, $20 million per year. Against a $5.5 billion construction cost, the naming rights alone represent a 40-year payback horizon if that were the only revenue source. It is not the primary revenue source. It is one layer of a diversified revenue stack. Super Bowl LVI, February 2022. The first major premium event at the stadium. Estimated direct economic impact to the Los Angeles region, approximately $500 million. The NFL allocates hosting rights fees to venues, not publicly disclosed, but industry precedent suggests low 8-figure payments per Super Bowl. The stadium will host additional Super Bowls within the naming rights contract period. The 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. SoFi is confirmed as the primary venue for the opening ceremony, the highest single broadcast audience event of any Olympic Games. The closing ceremony will be held at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. The commercial value of hosting the opening ceremony is not captured in a ticket price. It is captured in the sustained global visibility of the Inglewood site and in the accelerated leasing and sales velocity of the Hollywood Park residential and retail development in the years preceding the Games. The Olympic announcement functions as a marketing event for the surrounding real estate. The stadium is the venue. The development is the beneficiary. Concerts, residencies, college football bowl games, championship events. The venue operates as a premium event space across an extensive year-round calendar, generating revenue against a fixed cost base that does not adjust based on utilization. The business is not football. Football is the anchor event that fills the rest of the calendar, the cost that doubled. When construction began in 2017, the published project estimate was approximately $2.6 billion. When the stadium opened in 2020, the final construction cost was $5.5 billion. $2.6 billion, $5.5 billion. The gap, $2.9 billion above the original estimate. $2.9 billion. That figure exceeds the total construction cost of the stadium that hosted the 2022 FIFA World Cup final in Qatar, built in its entirety for less than the overrun on SoFi. Three sources drove the escalation. The stadium design expanded materially during construction. The retractable translucent roof, the 260-foot infinity screen, the underground pedestrian tunnel connecting to a neighboring transit station were additions that substantially elevated the original scope. The pandemic disrupted the construction timeline and added carrying costs across the delay period. And the integration of YouTube Theater and the surrounding Hollywood Park infrastructure within the same construction program added scope that the original estimate had not fully captured. And then the Chargers introduced a structural problem that no construction overrun creates. The Los Angeles Chargers relocated from San Diego to share the stadium as a co-tenant. Shared NFL stadiums create a specific financial challenge. One franchise typically commands the loyalty of the local market, and the co-tenant generates occupancy without generating the premium demand that drives suite sales, premium seating renewals, and sponsorship value at the level the primary tenant achieves. In multiple seasons at SoFi, the Chargers' average attendance ran below 70% of visible fan capacity, with a portion of seats occupied by visiting team supporters paying visiting team prices. The Chargers generate game day revenue. They do not generate the market dominance that justifies $5.5 billion in construction investment. The Rams generate it. The Chargers fill the schedule. And in 2026, a separate signal surfaced in the public record. Kroenke filed a claim seeking approximately $400 million from the city of Inglewood, citing a 2015 development agreement that he argues obligates the city to reimburse a portion of infrastructure costs, roads, sewers, utilities, built as part of the Hollywood Park project. The city has disputed the claim. The litigation is ongoing. $400 million in disputed infrastructure reimbursement from the city that approved the development that the stadium anchors. The thesis that the stadium is a private investment and the surrounding development is a private return is accurate until the infrastructure bill arrives. The record year. 2026 was the most commercially significant year in SoFi Stadium's operating history. The FIFA World Cup, Super Bowl hosting legacy, full event calendar utilization across a 48-week window. The stadium performed at or above its design event capacity for more consecutive weeks than in any prior year. In that peak year, SoFi hosted 8 World Cup matches, group stage through quarterfinal. 8 matches. The final match at the stadium was Spain against Belgium, a quarterfinal that drew a global broadcast audience estimated in the hundreds of millions. The final, the single highest value match in world football, was held at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. MetLife cost approximately $1.6 billion to construct. $1.6 billion. Against SoFi's $5.5 billion, that is less than 30% of the construction cost. FIFA's allocation of the final to MetLife was not a judgment about facilities. SoFi's facilities received consistent positive assessments from players, officials, and broadcasters during the tournament. The allocation was a market judgment. The New York and New Jersey metropolitan area represents the largest advertising market in the United States, and the commercial value of broadcasting the World Cup final from that market, in U.S. primetime, exceeds what SoFi's superior infrastructure adds in production value. The most expensive stadium in history, record utilization, World Cup quarterfinal host. And the final went to a stadium that cost $3.9 billion less. The event calendar does not reward construction investment. It rewards location and market size. All of this was in the public record before a single foundation pile was driven into the Inglewood soil. The Hollywood Park development agreements are public documents, filed with the City of Inglewood from 2015 onwards. The phased residential and commercial plan, 6,000 units, 900,000 square feet of retail, was in the original environmental impact report. The NFL Stadium Loan Program that provided $400 million in debt financing is a standard league mechanism disclosed in public filings. The naming rights negotiation was reported across the sports business press from 2018. The thesis was never about 17 games. Every document said so. The stadium was the anchor. The land was the investment. That is what buried economics means. 2 constructions, 1 decision. Scenario A, the stadium alone. $5.5 billion in construction capital. 70,000 seats. 17 NFL home games per year. Naming rights at $20 million annually. 1 Super Bowl per contract cycle. Debt service on $5.5 billion at prevailing commercial real estate rates exceeds what the stadium's NFL revenue model can support, without the surrounding development absorbing a portion of the carrying cost. Scenario B, the full Hollywood Park development, 298 acres. Phased residential, retail, commercial, and hospitality development anchored by the stadium. Rental income from 6,000 residential units. Retail lease revenue from 900,000 square feet. Hotel revenue from premium event demand. 70,000 people attending an event need accommodation, food, transport, retail. The stadium generates the demand. The surrounding development captures the economic spillover that a stadium owner in a conventional structure would leave on the table. The stadium did not cost $5.5 billion. The land play cost $5.5 billion. The stadium is what makes the land play work. SoFi Stadium is not the most expensive sports venue ever built. It is the most expensive anchor infrastructure investment ever made to unlock a real estate position in one of the most constrained urban land markets in North America. The football is real. The revenue from the football alone does not explain the capital commitment. The 298 acres explain it. That is not an opinion. That is the planning document.